They tried to slap that look right off my face, but I'm still grinning. And the money ain't run out yet, so I do believe I'm winning. For all the mess I was, am and will be continuing, and the fun is only beginning. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Hello and welcome to Don't Bury the Lead. We recap WWE SmackDown every Friday night after the bell. My name's John Zindell. This is Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Royal Rumble is going to be here soon, and the WWE needs to hurry up and get these storylines set for it. Maybe we saw some more progress there this evening. So without further ado, John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story from SmackDown from January 12th?
Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. And let me tell you something. The lead is going to be the main event tonight. We had LA Knight and AJ Styles and Randy Orton versus the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. And LA Knight, AJ Styles, and Randy Orton stand strong after Randy Orton returns to the ring in some sort of a weird, goofy swerve where he was kicked out of the match early on and then back in. But LA Knight, AJ Styles, Randy Orton go over the two cronies of the Bloodline, no Roman Reigns. Dom, what did you think of this match?
They spent the entire SmackDown sort of building to this showdown at the end. I mean, they started with and I thought of you as soon as Grayson Waller's music hit at the beginning of the show. Like, oh, John is loving this. But then, the Bloodline interrupts and that match doesn't go anywhere. They beat up Cameron Grimes and then chase Austin Theory and Grayson Waller out of the ring. Then Paul Heyman spends the rest of the show trying to find a third man to team with Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. And he can't find anyone. So the solution is, for you alluded to it there, they jump Randy Orton as Randy Orton's being announced to go down to the ring. Randy Orton's the first person whose music hits for the entrance for the baby faces. And Solo and Jimmy just ambush him from behind. And nobody comes out to help Randy Orton. Okay. Samoan spike Randy Orton, so he gets sort of walked off under his own power, but walking to the back. So now it's just a 2-on-2 tag match. Decent match. It winds up going about 11 minutes. We get a lot of tension between AJ Styles and LA Knight, which I like, because they're supposed to be on the opposite side in 2 weeks. And also it looks like they're trying to give AJ a harder edge. He may be turning heel, or they may just be setting him up to be tweener. But they're doing it. There's a lot of moving parts here and a lot of mini storylines that they're trying to somehow make work. This was messy, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best way I can put this. This was a mess. This was a schmoz with a referee and tags. But it was fun. Not a great main event, but fun enough. I mean, did anything stand out to you about the match itself? I mean, I had a few things, but they weren't really sequences. They were more psychology. But I'll let you take it. I mean, what did you have that stood out to you in this match?
Kind of an old school double team from Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. They do like the banana split to, I forget who was specifically down, but we saw an injury earlier, and it's good now to see just a normal, basic, simple double team move that's not too dangerous. So that was cool. And I haven't seen that in forever. I was like, okay, that was a great spot that I haven't seen. And it's like simple enough that anybody could do. How about you from the psychology standpoint? I'm interested to hear some of the feedback there.
I love that LA Knight and AJ Styles don't get along before the bell. They're not getting along as the bell rings, which allows Jimmy Uso to ambush them as the match starts. But then they start working really well as a tag team. There's a lot of tag in and tags out. There's double teams, that you would expect from a well-oiled tag team. There's even one spot where they've each got Solo Sikoa, and LA Knight punches him while AJ Styles chops him, and the crowd loves it. They're going, yeah, when LA Knight connects, and then woo when AJ connects on the chop. So the crowd was having fun with it. But then a little later, they tease as AJ's trying to get a hot tag to LA Knight. Solo Sikoa comes running around to attack LA Knight. LA sees it out of the corner of his eye, drops down off the apron, and levels Solo Sikoa. Winds up throwing him into the ring steps. Hops back onto the ring apron for the tag, but now AJ is ticked off because he apparently didn't see Solo Sikoa. He just thought LA Knight was bailing on him. And now they hate each other again. So they hated each other, then they liked each other, now they hate each other again. And when AJ Styles ducks and Jimmy Uso winds up super kicking LA Knight, it's like, okay, now they hate each other again. But then towards the end, they liked each other again because they wound up triple team power bombing after Randy Orton came back to win the match. Solo Sikoa through the announce table. And then Randy Orton's there being the peacemaker. So they're setting up Randy Orton to be kind of the guy in the middle of AJ Styles and LA Knight. And I wonder if that'll continue into the Royal Rumble Fatal 4-Way, but it's all ring psychology with a bunch of fun. Randy Orton, by the time his music hits and he re-enters the match and gets the hot tag from AJ Styles, it's, what was it, the 3 moves of doom?
Yeah, right.
He did the snap power slam. Then Jimmy Uso conveniently rolls to the apron, tries to get back in so Randy can do that DDT with his feet on the ropes. And then he goes for the RKO. Jimmy blocks it, goes for a super kick, but then Randy hits the RKO. So yeah, Randy Orton long enough to do his 3 moves of doom and get the win. And then it's just the bloodline getting beat down at the end. So this was the heels really getting their comeuppance, which if Roman's not involved, it's like, okay, like you said, the lackeys.
Right.
Acceptable for Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. Solo should be a rising star, and Jimmy Uso is a very well-decorated tag team wrestler. It's becoming acceptable for these guys to just be lackeys now. Okay, if this is where the bloodline is, that's where it is. There's other stuff going on. I feel like I've talked enough about the psychology here. Are you more interested or less interested in the main event of Royal Rumble now than you were before tonight?
Yeah, I think I was. I think it's a clean sweep of just like, okay, I'm about the same as I was before I came into it. I guess they're trying to build a little bit of tension up between the 3 guys. And I'm interested to hear because I don't know what the deal is, but we have never really had anybody on Twitter. But we have a lot of people right now kind of on Twitter.
Yes, chat at us right now on Twitter. Tell us, what did you guys think of the main event, and are you more or less interested in this Fatal 4-Way after seeing what went down tonight?
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, a good wrestling main event. I know it was a little silly, but we got to see the guys we like. Like, we like the Bloodline. We like LA Knight and AJ Styles. So I have no complaints there. I think they made the most of the time that they had. And, it was a little bit of like storyline pushing rather than like a straight wrestling match. But all in all,
AJ, LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, these are 4 great wrestlers. So even if they're just doing a mess with some psychology, they're going to perform for us.
Yeah.
So it looked well. I have to say, on the question we posed to those watching us now, and if you can't chat live, if you're watching us on replay, put it in the comments. I am still less interested in this Fatal 4-Way than I would have been in either a Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns or an AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns one-on-one match. So I'm still not sold as much as I would have been on just a one-on-one match for Roman. I don't know.
Yeah, they're
trying too hard. I get the feeling they're trying too hard.
They're going to have to bring it during the match in the pay-per-view because I can't think of a great Fatal 4-Way. They always seem to be kind of messy. 2 guys lay out around, 2 guys are in the ring fighting.
Yep.
So they're going to have to bring it. So we'll have to see what they do for the Fatal 4-Way. If you have 4 guys that are going to bring it, though, it might be these 4, right?
Because a
You get-
fatal 4-way is usually the opening round of these tournaments that we can't stand.
yes.
You know, it's like there's 8 guys, but they got to get it done in 2 weeks. So the first round is a bunch of fatal 4-ways. And it's like, oh, for crying out loud. All right.
Yeah, this is the first time we would have seen a Fatal 4-Way that's pretty meaningful. Usually they're
Right.
throwaway matches. Usually it's the Thanksgiving match, and there's pies and turkey lined up everywhere.
Sure.
So
Christmas cookies. Yes.
right. All right. Well, that is the lead. Dom, do you have anything else you wanted to talk about as far as the lead is concerned?
No, it's still up in the air, and I want to see what happens next week with the contract signing. There's another thing that usually goes over so well as a contract signing, but hey, we'll see. The LA Knight one for Roman Reigns went over really well,
Yeah.
so
It was,
maybe this one will be cool too. I don't know.
Roman Reigns doing the head of the table thing and sitting at the head of the table, and I think they did a good job with that. So, yeah.
Where do
So
you want to go next? What's your next big happening on this edition of SmackDown that was not this main event and this lead and this bloodline storyline?
well, I'll tell you what, Dom. Uh, I think the biggest story of the night, and I put it in the title, so maybe we could talk about it. That wasn't the main event. Is we had an injury during one of the matches tonight.
It looked
So
like a real injury, didn't it?
yeah, well, Carmelo Hayes versus Austin Theory, and maybe not to bury the lead of this specific match. I think it was all about the injury. They're going to do a high spot off the top corner, and when they do the high spot, something goes wrong, and they both seem to kind of land on their head. So it might have been some sort of superplex or some variation of a superplex, but
Spanish Fly, I think. That's Austin Theory jumps onto the
oh,
top rope with his hamstrings and uses that to spring backwards. He grabs Carmelo Hayes, who's sitting on the top rope, and they're supposed to flip all the way over. And I guess they don't quite get there. People watching, tell me what you thought of this. Initially, the ref goes to check on Austin Theory, and he's looking at Austin Theory's left wrist. And that's when you can see the ref on TV throw up the X. And that's when they call it. And he sort of is checking on Carmelo, too, who's not really moving much. So I thought initially it was Austin Theory with the wrist injury and Carmelo was selling for him. But then I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't a wrist injury at all. And both guys, did their heads bump during the move? Because their heads are very close together, the way the move is executed. Or was it that they just didn't flip over completely enough? I mean, this is almost Ricochet and Logan Paul during the Money in the Bank, right? Trying
yeah,
that Spanish Fly out onto the tables on the outside.
yeah.
But for them, they were going through tables, and the tables kind of break your fall, and they did flip enough where they weren't like totally landing on their heads. It was more shoulders and that. But like your ring, especially near the ring apron, that's the hardest part of the ring surface, which you know from being an indie pro wrestler. So that's not going to give. That's not going to break with you and give you another 2.5 feet to fall and turn. So maybe that was a real injury there. I mean, if this was a real injury and not a work, then obviously we wish the best for both guys. I mean, it was an okay match, but you never want to see anybody get hurt.
No, I think it's a good point with the move you said it's a Spanish Fly, and a good point that we've already seen somebody kind of botch it already earlier this year with Ricochet and Logan Paul, and they almost got hurt. And then this is the second time we've seen the move. I know it kind of looks cool, but I'm not a big fan of it. I don't want to be too much of a curmudgeon.
Yeah.
But, I'm not necessarily a big fan of the flippy high spots. So it's only a matter of time before one goes south, and this one did. So,
Charlotte Flair seems to be able to do it, but she's out for another 8.5 months with her knee injury that she suffered, not on a Spanish Fly, but on something else coming off of the top rope. These tandem spots off of the ropes coming out of the corners, there's a lot of extra traffic there. You're not in the middle of the ring. You can accidentally hit the ropes like Charlotte Flair did. And now you've got a knee injury that's putting you out for 9 months. You could, just because you're not clearing the turnbuckle very much, you could hit a very firm part of the ring that doesn't give. You may not have total room with the ring, with the ropes and the turnbuckles there to turn as much as you would like if you're trying to move like this. So it's risky. It's not fake.
Yeah.
As we've said for more than a year, wrestling is real. NASCAR is fake.
NASCAR is what's fake.
Check out our archives here at Don't Bury the Lead if you want to know the inside joke. Maybe we'll wind up linking to it in the video description. But yes,
we'll put the short in the description because it is the classic YouTube short. NASCAR is fake. And hey, who knows? Soon, if NASCAR, it just has ChatGPT things zooming the cars around, that could possibly make it be fake. Who knows?
Hey, technology, it's the great leap forward. So before the injury, what did you think of this match?
Well, I actually had some good stuff to say about Austin Theory.
Okay, do it.
When we first saw Austin Theory, he was the champ.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we both were like, this isn't really working. But seeing him in this role of just sort of the workhorse and just having him in matches and not having much of a personality and just seeing him as the Raw wrestler, he's good. He's really good. Right. I mean, outside of obviously the move at the end here. And Carmelo Hayes also looked really good and looks like he belongs. And there's not a lot of guys that come up sometimes look so great. And Carmelo Hayes, for me, it's like he's been pretty solid so far. Okay. And Austin Theory looks to be a guy who could be our Ricochet Memorial Award winner, right? I think he's better posed in that rather than being a champ. And they mentioned that he was the youngest U.S. champ ever. So maybe that's got to be part of it. Like, he's so young. He's coming along. He'll find his footing. I mean, it's not too long ago that Dom Mysterio was almost in the same boat where he looked like he was just sort of floundering and not going to make it. And suddenly he cuts his hair into a mullet, starts doing the mommy stuff, and he's one of the most over wrestlers on the roster, right?
Right. And as a heel, too. He's one of the guys who legitimately gets heel heat no matter what he does. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's fun. Of the NXT guys we've seen debut since the call-ups in the draft at the end of April, early May, Carmelo Hayes, Grayson Waller, Cameron Grimes, Pretty Deadly, mixed bag. Where would you put Carmelo Hayes since you talked him up in this match? Where would you put Carmelo Hayes within that group? Do you think he's sort of stuck with them, bottom card, mid card, just kind of finding their way of being a character, or do you see more from him?
Yeah, he's been presented a lot better. I'll put it that much, because Cameron Grimes specifically just seemed he got put right on the shelf. Like, they brought him up and then they put him right to catering for several months.
Sure.
And they give this little bit of a like intro to Carmelo Hayes, and seems to have, I think, at least a bit of a future. So I think he's probably a little above Grimes for me. And then poor Grayson Waller, just the Grayson Waller effect. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with him after that. So, I mean, I don't know. There's not much you could do. They put you at the 9 o'clock hour 5 weeks in a row to do a talk show, and you're kind of a dud on the mic. So
if they repackage Grayson Waller without the talk show, does he have potential as a personality? I think Grayson Waller's been the most impressive of them to me, because he looks like he has a personality. The talk show, he wasn't ready for the talk show. Maybe like Austin Theory wasn't really ready for the U.S. title belt and a championship reign. But I like Grayson Waller. I think Carmelo Hayes, they're seeming to do a basketball motif with him. His moves are called the fadeaway in the first 48, which is, an NBA game is 48 minutes. And then his finishing move is supposed to be the nothing but net or nothing but neck, whatever. But it's another basketball reference. So okay, if that's his thing, that's his sort of theme there. All right, I can see. Other than I'm with you. Other than Cameron Grimes, who basically they just use him to job in the weirdest ways possible, like tonight, where his role is to just get beat up on the entrance ramp, so we don't have to get a Grayson Waller match.
Right.
To lead off the show. Other than that, I think they are giving the other guys a chance, which is good, and maybe Cameron Grimes' day comes as well. So as we start 2024, some of these NXT call-ups from mid-year 2023, I don't think anybody's been a total bust as far as they're failing in the ring. But clearly some guys they don't know what to do with some of the guys yet. But I don't see that any of them are like busts.
There isn't any, there's no Top Dollar, but there's no John Cena ruthless aggression when they came up. It's like, this guy's a dude. There's nobody I'm seeing like, oh, this guy's a dude for real. Okay. But they're all solid.
There's no 4 horsewomen coming up from NXT where you're like Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Sasha Banks. Oh, they're stars.
Who immediately changed the concept of women's wrestling from
right in the WWE,
bra and panties, Instagram model girls to like actual wrestlers. So,
yep.
All right.
So on that note, let's talk about some women's wrestling here.
Yeah.
Because this is 2 weeks in a row that I think the match of the night is a one-on-one women's matchup.
For sure.
I was impressed with Bianca Belair versus Bayley. I mean, we had already named match of the year last week was Io Sky versus Michin.
Right.
I think that one gets knocked down a peg here. Bianca Belair versus Bayley. This match goes 17 minutes. Bianca Belair winds up winning with she throws Bayley into the ring ropes, Irish whip. Sorry, John. But then she follows Bayley in and bounces off the ropes herself, so then spears Bayley, who had stopped in the middle of the ring and turned around, and then hits the kiss of death for the pinfall at 9:03. So this straddled that change over the hours. This match started at 8:46 in New Jersey. They went 17 minutes. And even though all of Damage Control was out there, they did not interfere at all.
Yeah.
We got a cool one-on-one match between 2 A-listers of the women's division for 17 minutes. And this was a fun match, and it was really good.
And I'll tell you what, Dom, I have, I would say if you could talk about this one for a good amount of time here, because I have a guess.
You got it. I like Bayley. She's my women's MVP for SmackDown for 2023 there, as we gave out those awards. We agreed that we really like Bayley. All of Damage Control comes out, and they're not dressed to wrestle. They're just dressed to watch. And there's that tension that are they going to get involved? But then you realize that no, they are at ringside to cheer on Bayley, but they want to make Bayley do this herself. This is like becoming Bayley's proving grounds again. Like Bayley is supposed to be the leader of Damage Control, and yet it's like everybody else but Bayley is the leader of Damage Control. So Bayley's out there to prove herself to Io Sky, Dakota Kai, Asuka, Kairi Sane. And Bayley wrestles a great match. There's a lot of Ric Flair in Bayley in the sense that she bumps like crazy for everyone. And she's creative in the way she does it. Just magnificent to watch. She's constantly jawing with the crowd, with the referee. She jaws with the cameraman at one point. She's got Bianca Belair in the corner, and the ref is counting at her and yelling at her to break. She turns and screams at the ref, and I know. And then as she turns back to the corner, there's a roving camera that's right on her. And that camera person just must have been laughing or grinning at Bayley just laying into the ref like that. Because Bayley looks right into the cameraman, right into the camera and goes, "Don't laugh." So like Bayley is working everything imaginable in this match. She is working the live crowd. She's working the cameras, the refs. She's working the TV audience. She's got the banter going with the rest of Damage Control. Oh, and she's working her opponent in the match, Bianca Belair, who looks fantastic, but looks even better because Bayley's in this match with her. Bianca does some of the flippy stuff, but Bianca also very powerful. She does 3 consecutive scoop power slams on Bayley. And Bayley's not one of the tiny women like Zelina Vega, or even like Kairi Sane or Io Sky, her stablemates there. Bayley is taller and thicker. She's stronger and bigger. And Bianca Belair, beautifully executed scoop body slams, 3 in a row. Bayley takes the bump, gets right back up, goes up again, bam, gets right back up, goes up in the slam again, bam. So, just great cardiovascular work by each of them to just do these sequences and moves that have got to be tiring. Bianca at one point is hitting her 10 punches in the corner. Bayley tries to pull Bianca's hair to get out of it, but then Bianca pulls her own hair and rams Bayley into the top turnbuckle and resumes with another 10 punches, what the crowd loves to count. So a lot of good stuff going back and forth. And we haven't even gotten into how Bayley uses Bianca Belair's huge braided ponytail in this match. John, I wanted to save that one for when you were able to return here.
Yeah, for sure.
The hair used in this match.
Mm-hmm.
Bayley is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know how many other ways to say that. Bayley is awesome. Tell me some of the things that you liked about this match, just some of the new ways and creative ways that Bayley was interacting with Bianca here, especially with the hair involved. I mentioned one where, they do the tug of war and Bayley winds up going headfirst into the turnbuckle. But there was more than that, including a really cool spot. I wonder if you liked this spot as much as I did. Go ahead and tell me what you liked.
Oh, yeah. When she tied the hair up
Yes.
on the rope, that was impressive. And it was pretty smooth the way they were able to tie it up, really have her stuck, and then how she able to get out of it. I thought it might be dicey when they first went into it because it's her actual hair. It's not like a garment or something. It's not like a piece of her clothing. Like, it's her real hair or a weave at least. So which is even more difficult. So
how about how Bianca get out of it? Do you remember the sequence?
Maybe you could talk about
Bayley goes for a charge from the adjacent corner. Bianca steps out of the way, but her hair is tied to the rope, so she just holds it up like a tripwire. Bayley trips on Bianca Belair's hair because Bianca's hair is tied to the bottom rope. Thank you, Bayley. Bayley goes face first into that middle turnbuckle, and that's what gives Bianca time enough to untie her hair. And then she starts working over Bayley around the ring post on the outside. It's fun stuff. I mean, Bianca eventually does a standing moonsault to Bayley's back. She had hit another one earlier. I mean, that really good standing moonsault that Bianca Belair does. But Bayley also does a top turn elbow drop. I mean, she doesn't get the height that some of the men do, but it's a good looking move, and she nails it in the middle of the ring for like a 2.5 count there. Bayley then rolls up Bianca Belair later, but puts her own feet on the rope for leverage. The ref sees it and breaks it. So all these neat little things, but Bianca does her athletic stuff, some of the gymnastics, some of the power moves that she's really good at. It looks better that she's doing it on Bayley and not a tinier wrestler.
Yeah.
And I can't say enough about Bayley. I know we're only 2 SmackDowns into 2024, but this, John, is the match of the year on SmackDown.
This is it already. Wow. We've already thrown the other match of the year.
Right.
And we can still use this joke. It still has some legs.
Right.
But yeah, maybe I'll do a compilation video of us making match of the year jokes.
For all the January, best match of the night in January. This is the match of the year.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, this was definitely the match of the night. One spot, I'm not sure if you mentioned it or not, is with the ref actually catching Bayley trying to cheat and putting her feet on the ropes.
Yep, at the end there. Yeah, near the end.
Yeah, because usually the ref is such a moron, they can't ever see anything, but he actually catches it. So I like the ref being less of a doofus and not seeing anything ever. He's
He
like, oh,
did
wait.
another one of those. Do you remember it? It involved the rest of Damage Control. Bailey sent Bianca Belair to the outside and then pretended that she had a leg injury to try and get the ref to come and check on her.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
ref checks on her for like half a second and then goes, wait a minute, and turns back and looks at the rest of Damage Control. Like, you stay out of this, you stay out of it. And they're all going like, we're not doing anything. But it was good to see the ref was on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, which also begs the question, you know, or prompts us to ask, if Damage Control were going to attack, the ref totally would have missed it, right?
Right.
The ref only caught it because they were not attacking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this match ends. Bianca wins clean, which I was pretty surprised about because Damage Control just sort of lets Bailey get pinned. And did you see the segment after the match here?
They were backstage and they were trying to console Bailey and it's more tension in Damage Control. Like they're paying lip service to the fact that Bailey has the plan and Bailey's the leader. But it's kind of like, you know, they don't really need her anymore because apparently Dakota Kai is an even better translator between English and Japanese.
Yeah, and even the fact that they are all out there and Bailey's like, why didn't you help me? And they're like, yeah, we thought you could get it, you know?
It was your plan, right?
Yeah. So
I like this. They are slow playing the Damage Control tension, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
It's the opposite of what they've had to do for this Fatal 4-Way for Royal Rumble, where they've had to speed everything up into 3 weeks. Like they are wonderfully slow playing the tension and Damage Control. I like it. I'm a Bailey fan. Anytime I get to see a really good one-on-one 17-minute match on free TV with Bailey, I'm all in. This was great. So, one more match tonight, unless you want to get to one of the other non-match segments first.
Well,
there's some faction on faction stuff brewing.
Yeah,
if you want to talk that.
If you want to go through that match real quick, and because I didn't get the two guys' names, but it was LWO and Santos Escobar, two buddies.
Yeah, Santos Escobar's guys, Angel and Humberto, with Santos Escobar, who was on commentary as well, not doing a ton of commentary, versus his former, not only Legado del Fantasma stablemates, but LWO stablemates, Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro. This winds up being a pretty fast-paced 10-minute match. Angel does a sit down and holds the bottom rope for a roll-up pinfall on Joaquin Wilde, who had gone for a flipping body scissors in the corner, but Angel kind of blocked it. So neat little finish there. Heels cheat. We've seen it before, you know, good wrinkle there. It involves a Carlito run-in to ambush Santos Escobar, so they're setting up that as a one-on-one. But as far as this match goes, pretty fun tag team match. Too many dives and stuff like that. But, you know, it's the luchador stuff. They're supposed to be jumping all over there. And I got to say, one of the dives was pretty cool. It was the corkscrew off of the top turnbuckle to the floor.
That was a really good dive.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm anti-dive. I'm not a big fan of the dives. The corkscrew dive, I give it a thumbs up. And, you know, I am a snob about not having dives. So, but I like this one.
That one looked cool. It was also all in one motion.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a fun one to watch. I don't know if you had any other spots that you really liked in this match. Fast-paced, decent wrestling. Clearly sort of a bottom card feud. This is and it seems to be all out there just to set up Santos Escobar versus Carlito. Mm-hmm. But you know, it's not like the guys just dogged it because their match was just kind of fodder for something else. I thought they went at it, lots of action. I'm not going to complain about it, but you know, it wasn't a great match.
Yeah, so that's the last match of the night. Do you want to talk about any specific segments that stuck out to you tonight?
How about faction on faction? Bobby Lashley in the ring with Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. Bobby calls out Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain, and a video plays in which Kross says their group is now called the Final Testament. Okie doke. It's still creepy. It's black and white. There's some smoke involved.
I said, what is this gimmick? As it adds another layer. So now it's the final testament. Is that right?
The final testament.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Do you know much about the Authors of Pain?
I never really saw them too much.
Me neither.
But they are a tag team that was like around in NXT when NXT was kind of, I'd say like was just on the WWE network and was pretty hot and a lot of people liked it. That's when I remember them, but I never didn't watch NXT. I knew they were a tag team from NXT, and I don't know if they just were in the indies forever and brought them back, but I don't know much about them. But kind of, I'm not mad at this faction. Maybe Karrion Kross, especially with the manager, who's the Legion of Doom manager.
Paul Ellering is there, and Scarlett, yes.
Right, so they have a valet, a manager,
and a manager.
An old tag team, and Karrion Kross. We'll see. Give it, maybe it has legs.
Are you pleased with where they're going with Bobby Lashley here? When he came back to SmackDown, we thought, all right, is he going to be a guy who chases Roman Reigns? And now he's chasing Karrion Kross.
A little different than Roman Reigns, right?
Right.
It's weird because it seemed like they were going to be like the cool guy heels.
Mm-hmm.
But Bobby Lashley just keeps getting cheered every time he goes out. They can't turn him heel. People like him too much. So
maybe this is it. Put him against the heel faction and don't fight it.
Just don't fight it. Just be like, all right, we were thinking these guys would be heels, but maybe they're just cleaned up and baby faces.
If people are going to cheer him because they're cool and they look like $1 million and they can all wrestle.
Yeah. Let's
put them against a heel. Let's create a heel faction and put them against these guys and see if that babyface cheering is there. That babyface pop is really there. Okay. See, you're thinking.
People freaking love Bobby Lashley. He gets a huge pop every time he comes out, and it's really insane because you figured like, oh, he's older, he's been around. No, he's just way over every time he goes out. He's got the cool theme song. He looks like $1 million. He's not like amazing on the mic, but he's just a giant guy, and he's been around forever, and people really like him.
And he hasn't been overexposed, at least not recently, since we've been watching. So
no.
So I like that. See, you're playing chess while the rest of us are playing checkers.
Right. They're just going with people like them. It's way harder to get people to like and cheer someone than to get them to boo. You can at least do like the cheap heat, like the cheap heel heat where they just boo somebody they actually don't like. So if they're over as a face, go in that direction. But yes, anything else from the show before we get into the thumb drive?
Weird recorded sort of commercial looking thing with Butch and Tyler Bate.
Oh yeah.
Yes, in a coffee bar. Not even in like an alcohol bar. They're in a coffee bar and they're drinking.
I did notice that was odd because they were in a coffee bar rather than alcohol, but
Butch takes his coffee black, so straight coffee for him. One coffee, neat, or whatever. And Tyler Bate apparently had a much more intricate order there. But Butch is trying to say that he wants to go it alone, but Tyler is trying to tell him that hey, this could be a great tag team. We could show everybody British strong style. And now it ends with a close up of Butch who's thinking about it. Maybe. So will this be a tag team here of the winner of the Ricochet Memorial Award for the guy who gets beat the most but looks good doing it, Butch, and they tag team with if we had this award, the winner of the Matt Riddle Memorial Award for the guy who most looks like he's wrestling in his underwear.
Oh yeah, the Matt Riddle Award, Tyler Bate. Do
you want to see them as a tag team, or you just want to see Butch have a singles push?
I'm okay with them as a tag team because I
Okay.
feel like Tyler Bate, give him a shot, and we saw him in one match. He does some unique stuff. I felt like he's pretty charismatic in the vignette tonight. He seemed
Mhm.
like he has a little bit to him, but who knows from a
More
vignette?
than Butch, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Butch looks like he needs some work. Like when he's not just growling and grabbing people's fingers, he needs some work on the personality.
when he's outside of it, yeah. But and maybe that's a little bit part of the gimmick is it doesn't have much of a the goofy personality where Tyler Bate does definitely have. He
Mhm.
flies his freak flag. He's a weirdo and he just goes with it, which is good. Go with it. So, anyways, I think that it was an interesting vignette because I've never really seen anything in a coffee bar before, and they titled their names oddly, like when they just put the graphics like Butch, Tyler Bate.
Mhm.
It almost looked like they did an iMovie, like when I put the words up and it's like nothing else. And like sometimes I'll say like Milo's in the background and like there's Milo.
Yeah,
And it's just like just the lettering, which I'm okay with, boil it down. Weird to do a vignette in a Starbucks, basically. But
this video brought to you by Windows Movie Maker 2.0.
mm-hmm.
Right? This is back from
iMovie.
the Windows 3.1 days or somewhere in there.
Right. It was to that extent where I was like, interesting that that's the graphic they chose. It's just a word. But
Interesting that they're letting an intern do something.
right. Who doesn't know much? It's not even like one of the whiz interns.
Although, frankly, the interns are more up to speed on the cutting edge technology here. So,
Right.
that's a joke for a bygone era.
All right. So
That's all I got from the show. Is it time? Is it drive time? Are we ready? I see it up on the screen. We're ready. It's drive time, isn't it? It's thumb
graphic
drive
comes
time.
up, and these are more than just white lettering. We've got a whole graphic change here for the thumb drive. And let me tell you something, folks. Thumb drive, we decide if this show gets a thumbs up or thumbs down. Dom, maybe you could give your explanation of it.
Hey, there are no star ratings. There are no letter grades. There are no number grades. It's a simple pass fail. You're taking this course thumb up or thumb down, no thumb in the middle. There's no A pluses. There's no F minuses. You're just getting a thumb up or a thumb down.
That's right. We're not Dave Meltzer. We don't do star ratings. So, Dom, thumbs up, thumbs down for this show. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Whoa!
Yeah, I I thought about not doing it just out of respect for the Bailey Bianca Belair match, but some of the stuff that happened tonight it looked like it was unfortunate, like the injury for Austin Theory and Carmelo Hayes. But I don't know, when you do a show like this, it means you've got to really pay it off in your main event. And a 3-on-2 handicap match where the heels are the 2, not the 3. Eh,
Yeah.
they're not selling me on this fatal 4-way any more than I was already, and I'm not sold on it more than I would have been on just a great one-on-one match between, say, AJ Styles and Roman Reigns.
Felt
So
like
they're not doing it yet. It was teetering because of Bailey Bianca Belair, but I had to go thumb down, slight thumb down.
we had a good SmackDown last week, and it felt like they had some momentum and they made a big deal out of it. And it just feels like they just take SmackDowns off sometimes. And this one, they definitely just took off because I was watching it throughout and just thinking I could have easily skipped this and just nothing would have changed. There wasn't anything that really happened that was meaningful in any storyline. There wasn't, I mean, there's just continuation of some storyline stuff. And then from a match perspective, yeah, Bailey versus Bianca was good, but nothing else was really that good.
I can't give a thumbs up to an entire 2-hour show just because you had one great match.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially because you had all that time. And the other matches were pretty much lacking and dragging the show down. So, you have one good match, but the other two don't really carry it. So we typically skew on the positive. I would say we
do.
either go 2 thumbs up or 1 thumbs up and 1 thumbs down. I didn't know what direction you were headed, but we went thumbs down for the both of us. Yeah, you could.
Showdown, Bailey up.
And who knows? We were pretty close to the thumbs up. And maybe if Austin Theory doesn't get hurt and that match picks up and it has a lot of momentum, suddenly maybe it is a thumbs up. But he gets hurt, so and it makes the whole night kind of awkward. You get the X from the ref, so thumbs down for this one. But hey, Dom, that's the thumbs.
Maybe our viewers have a different opinion. If so, tell us in the comments. Tell us in the chat if you're watching live. What do you give this SmackDown? Thumb up or thumb down?
Yeah, WWE SmackDown. Or did you not watch? Because if you didn't watch, you did yourself a favor because you came right to the recap show and we give you the breakdown. And we told you didn't miss much. You're good to go for next week.
You could probably catch the Bailey Bianca Belair match on YouTube somewhere or Twitter, whatever.
Right.
It'll be floating around eventually.
Absolutely. All right. So are you ready for a little bit? It's getting hot here.
It's getting hot, and it's also kind of getting cheap in here. Is it cheap in here, or is it just me?
It's time for Cheap Heat. Cheap Heat is where we talk about WWE, AEW, and other trending topics in the pro wrestling world. We'll take these. We'll talk about these, trending topics. Make shorter videos. It's helped a lot with the success of the YouTube channel. We're up to over 400 subscribers, so we're at 410 subscribers. Then thank you so much for subscribing, and we're on the road to 500, which is a massive milestone because we will then be in the monetization. So that is
we may get a few pennies here.
We might get in if we're accepted into the program.
Yes.
But that's a whole nother story. I don't want to bury Cheap Heat, but let's open up the first topic of discussion here.
This is a sort of wrestling adjacent story here that you brought to my attention. Logan Paul was involved in a game he was supposed to be promoting and hiring developers for, something called, is it Crypto Zoo? Mm-hmm. And this independent investigative reporter here, CoffeeZilla, has been all over this story. Apparently, Logan Paul kind of bailed on the game, but he's offering somewhat of a settlement to some people who had already bought NFTs and tokens in order to play this game, since he was hyping it like, hey, get your tokens now so when the game comes out, you're ready to play. And they basically bought something that doesn't have a game anymore. Why don't you take us through some of this, since you brought this to my attention? This was all new to me. Apparently, Logan Paul announced a $1.3 million refund program. But the big problem is that apparently there's an estimated $18.5 million in damages resulting from Crypto Zoo. And he's offering only $2.3 million in total, the 1.3 plus another million. And it's on the condition that all of the people who spent last year suing Logan Paul must apparently forego larger damages in their case. Did you know about this before seeing this story? Because I did not. So can you fill me in on what this was and how big of a story is this?
Yeah, well, it's got well over 3 million views, that this video by CoffeeZilla, and he is a massive YouTuber that exposes all sorts of frauds and stuff like that. So this guy's making a living off Logan Paul, just kind of following him around from thing to thing he does. This was some sort of shady, essentially, game that was created by Logan Paul. The users would then kind of buy the currency to kind of play in the game, but then also buying the currency with the thought that it could appreciate in value.
Okay.
So I think that's a bit of his argument is like, hey, they bought the cryptocurrency knowing that they were gambling on the cryptocurrency getting valuable. That's not my fault that it didn't get valuable. But then people are like, okay, he didn't even make the game. So I think he's trying to do a quick settlement to make himself look good without having to go through all of this. And I think, CoffeeZilla immediately correctly calls out the fact that it's only like 10% of what he actually would owe everyone if he were to save face here and just say, hey, this project didn't work. Here's all your money back.
Mhm.
So it is pretty dicey. And I think the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I don't know anything about Logan Paul before pro wrestling. But the
Okay.
more we kind of like hear about his past, the dodgier he seems as a real life person. And I'm interested that like WWE sees a future with him because they are a pretty big corporation and have fired people for a lot less. So I'm
Yes.
interested that they're like dabbling in with this guy that's, you know, got,
Has lawsuits apparently, right?
yeah, who's got these active lawsuits. He's done goofy stuff on social media. And you think about a guy that they compare him to who is the Miz, he was a big reality TV star, so kind of like a social media star
Mhm.
back in his day. But he didn't have nearly as much baggage. This guy seemed to have a lot of baggage, and I thought that would be interesting to bring up to be like, here's CoffeeZilla calling him out for this thing, and it seems like he's got a laundry list of issues in the past, and so we'll have to see, like, your 2024, 2025 predictions. Like, is this guy going to be locked up at some point and be like, oh, remember they had that crazy guy, Logan Paul, and like, he's in jail one day? I don't know.
Is this why he had to sign a bitter deal with WWE because his other assets may be leaving him soon?
Right. Yeah. I
I
know.
need the income. I got to go to work.
Right. He needs money, so he needs to go to work. So that's why he's like a full-time WWE guy.
Who
Yeah. So
hasn't wrestled since winning his U.S. championship yet?
yeah, but he even had a segment tonight that was really good where he said, I'm going to cancel you. And he said he's been on the phone with his lawyers all week.
Yes.
So he's at least giving a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to his own personal disputes in real life.
He's done this before. We brought up the South Park episode that spoofed him, and he wound up spoofing the spoof and just going with it. He understands social media. He understands peer-to-peer stuff and what the average person likes without having a gatekeeper between them, like a TV station or a news magazine or something to get it out there. So yeah, I did kind of catch that too tonight. He's talking about his lawyers and canceling and stuff, and it's a work and a shoot. Bring your real life into it. Why, if everybody already knows your real life, might as well lean into it.
Right.
It becomes another tool in the toolkit.
Yeah. Excellent point. Excellent point.
So that's what I got for CoffeeZilla. That this is now I've been introduced to Logan Paul due to WWE and us watching SmackDown again, and now I've been introduced to CoffeeZilla thanks to Logan Paul. Someone I hope to be introduced to as soon as possible in the WWE. How about Jade Cargill training with Natalya at the dungeon?
Oh yeah.
This is Stu Hart family stuff here. If you're going to train with somebody as a women's wrestler, it's Natalya, right? You want to go train with Natalya. Got a little clip here that I don't know where Natalya posted this, but it was shared on Twitter by Sean Slate. This is Jade Cargill, obviously the taller one with the bleach blonde hair there. She's going through what they call the modified Owen Hart sequence here. And this is just cool to watch. I mean, Jade is getting her timing down. She's getting into sequences. She's getting into grappling, escapes, flip once, back to relieve the pressure. The second one kind of gets you out of it into a headlock. Headlock, takeover. But your opponent rolls you. You go for the takedown. Your opponent reverses. I mean, this is This is the kind of stuff that you and I would like to watch in a wrestling match, isn't it? While the crowd in the live arena would just sit on their hands and be dead.
Right. It's kind of a we were talking about what they got to do with Jade, and we made a video about that specifically. Like, she's been around for a while on the bench, and when are we going to see her? But it's pretty cool that she is being under the tutelage of Natty. And if she is 60 to 70% as good as Natalya is, she's going to be in great shape with, and just from AEW, I know she can talk on the mic, and she has a great natural charisma about her. So I think if she's at least to like the 70%, maybe 80% as good as Natty, because Natty's fantastic, then I think she's going to be in pretty good shape. So I'm excited. I'm more so excited for her debut, knowing she's training with Natalya.
Is this another example of the WWE watching Don't Bury the Lead and getting their ideas from us? Because I recall several weeks ago you making the comment that was perhaps a joke, but it turns out not to be, that if Jade's going to make her big debut at the Royal Rumble and win it, they're going to have like Natalya have to be in there with her the whole time telling her what to do.
Oh, you're right. When I make a small, short video here, I need to make a callback to the video when I said she should work with Natalya.
Yes.
In the Royal Rumble, because she's so good, and she'll be like in the corner telling her what to do.
And here we go. She's going to the dungeon.
Triple H is brainstorming and watching our videos, and
he is
obviously taking guidance from us. I think that's probably what the case is.
I don't know about you, John. I'm flattered.
What do you guys think? I know we've had a lot of people kind of in and out of the chat, or in and out of watching, but let us know what you think. Are you looking forward to Jade and Natalya training Jade?
I want to know who Jade is training with here, because she's smaller, obviously, but she looks like she can go too.
Yeah, for sure.
Who's this other female wrestler here with the double-colored dreadlocks there, who is taking everything that Jade is giving her and is just as fast and doing all the counters with her?
Right. I don't know
That's
who
fun.
this is, but yeah.
This is great stuff. I like it. To somebody else, this was WrestleZone who gave us the initial article to another WrestleZone article for another person that we haven't seen on WWE TV, but whereas Jade is not yet. It's Top Dollar. We haven't seen it because he was released, but he apparently has other stuff that he can do. Gave a nice article putting over his former stablemates here. Not only Ashante the Adonis, but he says that B-Fab, who they teased was going to do something with Bobby Lashley's new faction, that she can do. She's talented and can do whatever they allow her to do in there. So AJ Francis, Top Dollar, not bitter at all about it. We already did a cheap heat where he was actually thankful for the botch happening because it allowed his doctor to figure out that he has diabetes and needed to really receive some treatment and some maybe lifestyle changes with it as well. But he seems to be still very, very behind his old stablemates here, and maybe part of the reason is like he's moving on with his life here. This is him at the Citrus Bowl college football bowl games. He was at the Citrus Bowl with a Cheez-It championship belt, and he's with DJ Woo Kid, and they're having fun. They're in Vegas. They're at the game. He's got a belt. He's hamming it up for the camera. He obviously can talk. He likes. He doesn't mind being on camera and hyping up other people. Apparently, he's going to TNA Hard to Kill, which I believe is this weekend. We're recording this on January 12th. I think it may be this weekend, the 13th or 14th. So promoting a lot of stuff here. Top Dollar AJ Francis perhaps living his best life here.
Yeah, I think that after seeing some of his comments and the way he's been acting after WWE released him, I said it's pretty cool that, hey, he's known for the botch, but he's kind of bounced back. I mean, he played in the NFL. He wrestled in the WWE. he's still a young guy. That's really impressive. And it looks like he's got some talent outside of, just wrestling here, where he could be in promotion or just hosting stuff and, a content creator of some sort. So I'm pulling for him. I really am.
And frankly, if his diabetes is now detected and under control, he may have an in-ring future.
Right.
Like you said, he's not over the hill. If his illness, now that it's been detected and perhaps he's got it under better control, it's his in-ring career may not be over either. But it's great to see him smiling and doing something, and he's having fun. Good for him. Speaking of having fun, I saw this released recently. I think it was part of a larger interview that was there from Inside the Ropes from longer ago. But Bret Hart shoots on how he developed his finishing move, the sharpshooter. He was on Inside the Ropes talking, and he's basically saying here that following his tag team days in the Hart Foundation, he got word behind the scenes that Vince McMahon wanted to give him a singles push. And they said, well, can you develop some sort of submission move so you can not only pin people but have a submission move as a singles wrestler? And so he's looking around for something, and he picks a hold that he saw coming out of Japan, a scorpion lock, which is that cross-legged Boston crab that he and at the time he had also seen another wrestler do it, Sting, who was doing the scorpion deathlock.
Wow. Okay.
And it fits Sting a lot because Sting was doing the whole scorpion motif, the face paint, the tights, all of that. So as a finishing move, do the scorpion lock. And I think, don't hold me to it, but I think it got its name because the wrestler who's taking the move kind of looks like he's bent into a scorpion pose.
Yeah.
Like his feet are now 180 degrees, pointing not away from his head, pointing towards his head, like it's a scorpion's tail stinger.
Mm-hmm.
So that the scorpion hold, kind of the stinger motif, Sting starts using it, and your Bret Hart starts saying, well, why can't we call it the scorpion lock? And they're like, no, you got to call it something else. So it becomes the sharpshooter.
Okay.
But a fun, hearing it from Bret Hart here, putting it down for everybody else and talking about, where this comes from. This is from Inside the Ropes. They did an interview. We're not playing you the sound there, but just wanted to give them credit here. Inside the Ropes, they do a lot of these kind of interviews with wrestlers who are retired or even wrestlers who've been around for a while and still may be active. It's good information. They do it in front of a live audience when they can. So if you watch this video, which I encourage you to do, you'll hear some people heckling, which, is kind of rude, but whatever. But Bret's having fun in this interview. He's real candid about it. And it's fun, and it kind of puts to bed the question, who came up with the graphic user interface in the mouse first? Was it Steve Jobs or Bill Gates? Well, it turns out they both stole it from Xerox.
Right. They both stole it from Japan.
Right.
That's interesting. He would admit that Sting had it first, but then also the name kind of makes sense that they WWE'd it up because it was just this scorpion lock or stinger lock or
scorpion lock out of Japan and
it sounds like a very Vince name. Sharp shooter. SS. Alliteration, baby.
The alliteration. Why not?
Yes. Everything's an alliteration in Vince's head, so that totally makes sense.
I mean, how close do you think they were to just calling it the heart hold?
The heart hold. Yeah, right. That's a winner. He loves those alliterations. So
I like sharpshooter better. So fun interview. We like hearing that one. Let's see here. We went from DJ Woo Kid back here to let's do DJ Woo Kid again. DJ Woo Kid was apparently backstage at the AEW All In. And this was the pay-per-view over in London, England, in Wembley Stadium, where CM Punk got into a brawl before his match. And that was the end of the road for CM Punk in this promotion. He's trying to get a second life here in the WWE. But to those of you who like AEW, this this interview here from DJ Wookid, I think it shows really Samoa Joe in good light. That here was Samoa Joe backstage, the big Hawaiian looking dude, trying to break up what was going on and get everybody back on page. Like, hey, we've got a match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't do this now. We were talking when Samoa Joe beat MJF for the AEW World Title, so that MJF needed to drop the belt and recoup some injuries. That Samoa Joe was the right dude to have beat him, because he's not only a great wrestler with a great career and a great history, but he's one of the adults in the room.
Yeah.
That is sorely needed in just about any promotion. And, while this may seem like more piling on of CM Punk, I mean, first of all, that never gets old, because in this instance, he kind of deserves it. But secondly, this is more about, if AEW has to move on, they may have moved on with the right people. I mean, Samoa Joe is the adult in the room here. What say you about this? Had you heard this about Samoa Joe? I know you've been high on him as just a wrestler and a performer.
Yeah, and now that Samoa Joe has the title, maybe 2 and 2 goes together here. He acted with such to kind of break up the fight rather than join the fight, and says like, we have stuff to do. We have a great opportunity in front of us. Everybody calm down, like stuff like that. When these two morons are fighting each other and bickering at each other over God knows what. But ultimately, that's probably why Joe has the title, and I'm happy that he has it. And like you said, the adult in the room has a title, and when you hear stuff like this leaked, it probably makes a little bit of sense here. It's funny that DJ Wookid calls him the big Hawaiian guy, which I guess
right, the Hawaiian-looking guy, right?
He is Samoan, but I guess if you didn't know, you'd be like, yeah, he's a big Hawaiian guy.
Pacific Islander, close enough.
Right.
This comes to us from comingsoon.net, and they chose to go with the big photo here of CM Punk and Jungle Boy Jack Perry, who were kind of the main people involved in the backstage brawl there. Have you seen much of Jack Perry since this incident on AEW? I mean, they just flat out fired CM Punk, but is Jack Perry sort of in the doghouse here, or has he been back on AEW TV and having something to do?
There was a masked man going around in AEW. They didn't know who it was, and everybody thought it was Jack Perry. And I don't know if that was the plan or that everyone was like, oh, I hope it's not him. This is such a bad idea. So it ended up being somebody else, Adam Cole.
Yes.
So it ends up being Adam Cole, but I haven't seen Jack Perry, and I don't know if he is sent home and they're reconsidering what to do with him, or if they have him under contract and they're like, hey, just keep your mouth shut. And because I can't imagine Tony Khan was too happy, because he basically said some stuff during the match about CM Punk, and CM Punk saw the monitor, so CM Punk attacked him, and he's like, he probably isn't happy that Perry instigated with CM Punk, basically.
And brought it on camera, apparently, as you're saying.
Yeah, he was
like, it's one thing to have a storyline, but it's another thing to just have dirty laundry, now being shouted into a live mic or a camera mic that's close enough to pick it up during one of your shows.
Yeah.
This interview during appearance on Jim Norton and Sam Roberts' show. So we want to credit everybody involved in what happened here. So thank you, comingsoon.net, for the article. And the interview appeared on Jim Norton and Sam Roberts' show that apparently took place on YouTube. You can go find that full interview if you want to hear everything that happened there. And hey, one more fun thing in Cheap Heat here. It's another sort of outside of wrestling thing where people, we find out, hey, guys are wrestling fans. How about Shannon Sharp? This is Triple H on Twitter calling out that Shannon Sharp on the Nightcap show with Gilbert Arenas there, they're talking about how Shannon Sharp is apparently a huge wrestling fan. And, I've got this running here. He's talking about guys that he used to watch. Gordon Soley, Dusty Rhodes, Andre the Giant, Bobo Brazil, Ox Baker. Down in the Savannah, Georgia area where they grew up. Did you know, Harley Race Nick Bockwinkel, did you know this about Shannon Sharp, that he was an old school, long time pro wrestling fan?
No, I did not realize this at all. And the thing that's really cool about Shannon Sharp here is he mentions all these obscure wrestlers like Bobo Brazil, you know, Gordon Soley, Dusty Rhodes, well, Andre the Giant, obviously, we know that one.
Mm.
Ox Baker. And it sounds like they would just drive to some of these, I don't want to call them indie shows because they weren't necessarily indie at the time, but these regional shows and would watch these guys perform. So I thought that was really
back when the way to watch wrestling was you had to get out to the live arena because there wasn't a lot on TV. And especially the main guys on TV, most of what they did was just do interviews.
right. So I think it's cool that he knows it to that extent. And then in addition to that, you usually have celebrities and they're like, yeah, like I know Stone Cold or I know Hulk Hogan. Like,
Yep.
And they kind of do like, they don't really necessarily know anything about pro wrestling. They know the big guys. And, maybe they're doing some sort of deal with WWE where they show up and they act like they're a fan or something like that. But Shannon Sharp here, a bit of a smart mark talking about these guys,
Yeah, this is good. He's a real fan, apparently, of pro wrestling. This is great. Tell us in the comments, tell us in the chat if you're watching live and want to chime in. Did you know that Shannon Sharp was a pro wrestling fan? And did you have heard of a lot of the wrestlers that he was talking about? Anybody he mentioned that you had not heard of before Shannon Sharp was talking about this? Shannon Sharp, of course, a great tight end in the NFL. Do you remember his brother, who was a fantastic wide receiver for the Packers until I think his Sterling Sharp, until his career, I think, was cut short by injury, maybe around the neck area.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Sterling was the better of the two of them for a while, and then Shannon really grew into the tight end role and wound up winning Super Bowls, I think, with the Broncos and with the Ravens.
He was a Raven, so yeah, that makes sense.
He won it with the Broncos and with the Ravens there. I think impressive career. So good to know. That's all I got. Do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about here?
I'll say one thing. Triple H mentioned that he's interested in doing some business with Shannon Sharp, right?
Yeah, love and respect the passion for the history of our business. Shannon Sharp and the Nightcap Show crew are welcome to join us at a WWE event anytime, any place. So Triple H is not only watching Don't Bury the Lead to get his ideas, he's watching Shannon Sharp on Nightcap, and maybe he's watching Club Shay Shay too.
Right. I'll tell you what, Shannon Sharp right now is one of the hotter guys on YouTube after the Cat Williams interview. That thing's up to like 42 million the last I checked. So just a massive, massive week for Shannon Sharp. And he didn't have to do anything. He was just feeding Cat Williams, and Cat Williams was just hitting everything out of the park, right?
Yep.
He was like the pitcher at a home run derby, and Albert
batting
Pujols
practice
was the batter, right? Because he's just crushing the ball out of the park.
Yep, and Cat Williams wins the home run derby there over quite a lot of other competitors in that interview, if you've seen it. Obviously, I don't know what's true and what's not, but just knowing how funny Cat Williams is, it's plausible, right?
Right.
And it's a good interview. And just like Shannon Sharp wins the Super Bowl with the Broncos, or maybe even won two. He may have been on the back-to-back teams. And then he leaves the Broncos and goes to the Ravens and kind of has a second career there, winning another Super Bowl. He had a career in sports media and was most recently with Skip Bayless on an FS1 show, where the two of them would just kind of argue, and it seemed a little too contrived sometimes, as many of those sports debating shows are. I mean, they look awfully contrived sometimes.
Yeah.
He kind of has after being very popular at that and having a good career there, he seems to have pivoted to not as much of that contrived
shock jock
and circumstance. Yeah, shock jock stuff. Good term. Not as much as the shock jock stuff. I mean, the interview with Cat Williams was him just being a real interviewer.
Yeah.
Long form interview, not just let's get sound bites and get out in 2 minutes and go to the next topic. It was a more than a half-hour long interview. It was long form. And I mean, Shannon Sharp did a decent job. Like you were saying, I mean, all he had to do was feed batting practice fastballs to Cat Williams. But even here, I mean, the show with Gilbert Arenas, these are two former professional athletes. Gilbert Arenas had a long career in the NBA. He was a star for years. But, you know, these guys don't look like they're doing a shock jock thing.
No.
So good for Shannon Sharp for having a second go around in sports media here after his, you know, you wondered what could he do after, you know, breaking up with Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
And maybe he's going to be even better.
And, you know, when you have those interviews, don't sleep on people that sit back and let the person that's like Cat Williams, who's so interesting and so funny, let them talk. We don't need to hear you talk. A lot of times people start jumping in and start talking about themselves and what's going on with them. And it's like, no. Like, you have the guest on. We want to hear the guest. It's Cat Williams. He's tearing down every celebrity imaginable.
Yes.
You know? So just let him do it, you know? But yeah.
As an over talker, I understand that how difficult that can be.
Right. Well,
excellent work there. If that's all, then maybe that's it.
Well done.
It's cheap. It's heat. It's cheap heat.
That's right. It's cheap. It's heat. It's cheap heat. And that brings us to our next segment here. We have had a lot of people in and out of the chat. So you guys have anything you want to tell us, let us know. Dom, we had 8 people on Twitter. We've had 0. 8 people watching us on Twitter. It's always
Twitter's new for us as far as trying to live stream there. So yes, thank you. If you're finding us on Twitter, if you're finding us on Twitch, if you're finding us on Facebook, thank you very much. If you're finding us on YouTube, that's where the big load of our videos are. So if you're on one of those other platforms, go ahead and find us on YouTube. John, you mentioned subscribers before. We are up over 400 subscribers. Thank you to everyone who subscribed. Hey, it's free to join. Nothing's behind a paywall here on Don't Bury the Lead. So, hey, hit that subscribe for us. Help us out. Share links to our videos if you enjoy them. You know, pass them around. Again, nothing's behind a paywall here. You're not stealing by sharing and letting other people see Don't Bury the Lead. Not only these live streams are archived at YouTube, but the shorts videos that are under 60 seconds are there. And the wonderful edited clips that you make, John, that we do off of our longer form content here. Those are very good. We had what we call our figure fours. Those are our edited clips that go up over 1,000 views. So they get into 4 figures there. Mm-hmm. Our first live stream of 2024 netted us our first figure 4 edited clip. It was about Sami Zayn and Finn Balor at a house show where Sami Zayn got color the hard way. If you haven't seen that one, it's not really gruesome. They're far away. I mean, you can see where he gets hurt because you see a table hit his head. But you know, he's kind of walking around afterwards. We do show a black and white still photo of Sami with the staples in the head. It's not gore, it's not gruesome, but it shows you just a tremendous peek into what pro wrestling goes to. We saw what may have been a real injury tonight between Austin Theory and Carmelo Hayes. It happens sometimes. Pro wrestling is physical, especially when you have foreign objects involved that don't always cooperate or don't always get the memo as far as what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the table goes into business for itself.
Right. I know. I'll tell you what, though. We also have our Ricochet Memorial Award we gave out, and that got about 600 views. So that's a good one. But I love the name, Dom, the figure 4. So anything that's over 1,000 or more views, that's going to be a figure 4. So
we have a best of 2023 playlist up on our YouTube channel, which I believe has all our figure 4s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lots of great stuff in there. Those are the things that you guys told us you like the most. That's not, our favorites. That's your favorites, viewers of Don't Bury the Lead. So, hey, reward yourself. Go back and watch the content that you like the most.
Absolutely. So Dom, yeah, we have some good stuff here. I think we got a lot of good short videos that we'll create in the coming weeks here, and we'll continue to keep the ball rolling. We're at 410 subscribers. Once we get to 500, we got to do something special. All right.
We got to do something special. We're almost at 200,000 overall channel views on YouTube. I think we're within 2,000 of that number. So hey, maybe one more excellent shorts or edited clip, and we might be there.
Yeah, let me have a look here. I'm just gonna cheat here and look at the stats. Get the channel. Yeah, 198,000. You're right. We're only 2,000 away. Oh, we have a comment from Twitch.
All right, from Twitch. Thank you for watching us on Twitch. What say you there?
Solo Sikoa, the biggest WWE lie.
It's looking like that. We were so high on him, and the push he got through 2023, and we mentioned that it's unfortunate that he's kind of in that lackey role in the bloodline now, along with Jimmy Uso. He's there to take bumps and get beat up so that Roman doesn't have to. But he's still young and early in his career. We still think there's a lot of potential for Solo Sikoa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing well in this lackey role. I mean, he still looks intimidating. It's not like he's just lying down for guys. He's going up there and beating up guys as well. But, ultimately he gets his comeuppance.
Yeah. Hey, Lely Lon, do you guys you think that Solo Sikoa is the biggest WWE lie? You want to elaborate on that a little bit? Are you not a big fan of his work? You think that you were a big fan before and now he's kind of trending down? Because that's where we're kind of at. Like he looked like a big star when he knocked off John Cena, and since then he's been kind of just a lackey. So I can see where you're coming from.
And I don't think he's going to be here permanently. I think it's just because this is where the bloodline is now.
Mm-hmm.
I think Solo Sikoa's got a big future ahead. I think he works well in the ring. He's got the look. He's got the intimidation. He's getting better at the mannerisms and how he jaws with people and yells in the ring. They're letting him do a little bit more mic work, and he's getting better at it. I think he's making progress.
And we have another comment here, Dom, from Lily.
The big spot LA Knight deserved for a long time. We have been talking about that as well. That if you only watch WWE, you're wondering who this LA Knight guy is. But if you've seen other promotions, yeah, you are right. He has deserved this spotlight for a long time. He's had this ability. He's worked on it for years and years. Mm-hmm. NWA, indie shows, Impact Wrestling, the new NWA with Billy Corgan. NXT for a while, back to NXT a couple of years ago, up to the main roster as Max Dupree with the Maximum Male Models. It's been a long road for the guy who recently received the keys to the city of Hagerstown, Maryland.
This is true.
Which we also covered here on Don't Bury the Lead. So yes, we like everything LA Knight is doing. When he's on the screen, I pop. I'm like, yes, all right, there we go. LA Knight's here.
So, Lily Lon, do you think LA Knight should win the title from Roman Reigns? And if it's not LA Knight, who do you think should win it? I'm interested to see what you have to say about that.
Are we narrowing this down to just the fatal four-way? Or are we talking about whole roster? Eventually, who should take the belt?
Whole roster. Who should be the one that dethrones you?
Who should win the belt? Oh, LA Knight would be in my top tier. So I wonder where some other LA Knight fans feel about this. So, on one hand, LA Knight's the kind of character who doesn't need a belt to be awesome. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, if you're going to make a switch, LA Knight could probably be a guy who could do something with the belt.
Yeah, and it's not just Lili Lon. We have a couple other people on. So if you guys want to
Tell us on there.
Tell us, who do you think?
It's Fatal 4-Way season, right?
Yeah.
It's Fatal 4-Way season. Everybody's thinking about Roman Reigns, and they're teasing that The Rock may have a match with him, that they're thinking maybe not be WrestleMania. It might be the Elimination Chamber in Perth, Australia. So they've got The Rock. They've got a Fatal 4-Way. There's the Royal Rumble winner perhaps lurking. I still want to see something with Gunther. So who do you think, if anybody, should finally be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns? Damian Priest still has his briefcase that he has not cashed in, even though he's tried a few times and can't seem to do it.
He keeps trying to get Seth's title too, right? Hasn't.
He does. They're making that kind of a Raw only storyline there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what, Dom. It wasn't a great show tonight, but I think the next couple shows will be good. It was a great Don't Bury the Lead. We have some great cheap heat. I'm going to be busy editing this weekend.
Right? It'll be fun.
Yeah. So,
thank you, everybody. From what are you snacking on there?
Well, I had Chinese food tonight. And they gave me crispy chow mein.
Okay.
Yeah, this is too good to resist.
You order takeout from locally, or do you actually go to the restaurant, a nice place, sit down, and just had some leftovers to take home?
No, I took a takeout. There's a really cheap Chinese restaurant, which are always perfect, and all the food's good and it's cheap. So got that tonight for dinner. And
less than a football field away from my apartment building, I got the same thing here.
Mm-hmm.
I go a football field in one direction. I have a fantastic, inexpensive, but very good Chinese restaurant. If I go a football field in the other direction, I have a great Mexican restaurant.
Ooh, there you go.
I live right in the middle.
And you can do it on foot, right?
Oh, yes, on foot. I had a job where we would do video conference lunches where they would give you a Grubhub coupon and you would order Grubhub. And so whenever I get that, hey, the company money, I'm putting it into the local restaurants, and I would either do the Chinese restaurant or the Mexican restaurant. And of course, I couldn't get Grubhub delivered because they're too close. So I could only do takeout, which was fine.
Well, we had one person left on YouTube that had been here the whole time, and we started talking about food. We must have got him hungry because he left.
Oh, there you go. Come back and tell us, what did you order when we started talking about restaurants?
Yeah, he went and ordered pizza. No, but the channel's doing great. Kudos to the hitting the 400 subscribers. Kudos to you and myself, of course. But
yeah,
we'll have 500. We're gonna party.
500. We're partying.
I think I am getting a bottle of champagne and taking my laptop, taking it outside, and popping it.
Okay, just do not get it on the laptop. We can't, technical difficulties.
Yeah. I will give you the champagne, and maybe you could just take a sip of the drink rather than do it, unless you wanted to. You do it at your sink.
I'm more of a porter and stout man than a fan of the champagne bubbly. But for a special occasion, I will jump in and participate, of course.
Yeah.
Now, here's the question. Over under WrestleMania 40 when Don't Bury the Lead gets to 500 subscribers?
Great question. When is WrestleMania 40?
Beginning of April. A little less than 3 months away. We've got 2 pay-per-views within that time span.
I feel like we'll do it. I think we'll hit it. Because the reason I think we'll hit it is because we hit the last 100 pretty easily.
Okay. Maybe we're picking up speed here.
No, the last 100 were I mean, when was the 300? Let's see. I can look at the analytics if you want.
We were at 100 middle of last year because I still have the glasses.
Right. We were at 100. And the way I was getting subscribers is sub for sub. I was begging for subscribers on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're just getting them holistically, which is insane.
That's wonderful. Now, you mentioned us live streaming on Twitter. Are we going to have a presence on Twitter, maybe with some of the shorter videos?
If anything, if it isn't like anything like tonight, then perhaps.
There you go. Very good. So there may be a lot in store for Don't Bury the Lead. This is great.
Yeah. Let's look at the analytics audience. Let's see here. This week. The last 28 days, we got 44 subscribers.
All right.
So
That's something.
that makes me feel like, because we got 44 subscribers, that's about, we would need 2 months and maybe 2 months and 2 weeks on average to get another 100. So it might be close, but it's going to be close, really. But well, anyway, I'm jumping away and looking at analytics. Do you have anything else you want to add here, Dom?
Not at this time. It's been a fun show. It's been a great show. For us, SmackDown was but I think we had a great show, and looking forward to next week's SmackDown. And then, of course, the following week, we'll have our first pay-per-view, our first premium live event of 2024. It'll be the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and Lily Lon, if you could, maybe just we're here every Friday night. If you're interested in following us, every Friday night after the bell, we start around 10:15. We'll go to about 11:30, 12. So if you're ever interested, just talk wrestling, man. We'll be here.
There you go.
And
unless it's a pay-per-view week, and then catch us the following day for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, we do the recaps of the pay-per-view. So if you ever want to hop on and talk, you've been great tonight. It's been fun chatting with you. Come on down and join on board. So thanks so much for your time. And Dom, thanks for joining. Thanks to everyone that watched, and have a great rest of your evening.